We should not be jealous, but be patient. When we see many big cars on the road, we should not feel jealous. We should feel motivated instead, as there is hope. If we see no cars on the road, it means this country has no hope for us and for our offspring. What we need is patience, even if we do not own a Merc at last, but our offspring has a chance. We must preserve our Asian culture. We will rather suffer now and let our offspring enjoy later. If we every day think of using Akong money, our reserve, once it is used up, we will die. 20 years ago, when we talk about Taiwan, we talk about Taiwan's huge reserve. When President Chen Shui-bian came into power by playing the emotion of Taiwanese with this slogan, Taiwan's belong to Taiwanese. He separated Taiwan into two groups, those immigrated into Taiwan before 1949 and after 1949. He succeeded to gain power by separating the country. After his 8 years administration, Taiwan's huge reserve used up and ended up in a mess. Taiwan still has a chance because it still has a big brother behind him, China. Singapore has nothing. Even water also has to depend on Malaysia. Taiwan is 50 times the size of Singapore. In the event of Singapore fails and when its reserve used up, it is a fact that he has to bet Indonesia or Malaysia to adopt it. We are all MPs now. In fact, each of us are MP now. We can bring our concern or feedbacks through emails to the heads of government agency, minister or even prime minister. No point keep complaining or gossiping and no action. It only demoralizes the whole team. If you see some opportunity to bring down the stress or opportunity to make Singapore even more competitive, write to the relevant authority or minister for their consideration. My wife and me has given feedback and suggestion for improvement. We understand we cannot expect our input must be accepted as they are priority concern, or we may not see the overall picture, but we must escalate all the way if we really has a point to make Singapore competitive. We know it is easy to suggest, but we must remember the one got the job done is the hero. In company, we know a lot of people like to talk a lot, but very little want to own it and do it. My latest feedback is to the Education Minister that the P1 enrollment purely based on distance. We don't need unnecessary stress for our parents rushing to bring their children to good school in cars every day. The students also under tremendous stress as they need to wake up early and lack of sleep. We should swap the whole batch of teachers of the top school to the bottom school, or at least swap the principal or all HODs. I believe I definitely not the first one who suggests this. And in fact, I expect opposition MP bring up this issue, but it didn't because it will lose the alumni votes. And there's no gain in votes, the main reason. See this forum message. Ways to strengthen Singapore core in banking, published in the forum on June 27. The author, Mr. Koh, wrote, first, we should strive to have all three local banking giants headed by chief executive who are born and bred here. Second, all country manager of foreign banks here should be Singaporean. If this proves challenging, then at least his deputy should be a Singaporean until such time that one can be found for the top job. Third, the MAS currently approved the appointment of country manager and treasurer of most banks operating here. This should be extended to deputy country manager and other key posts. To me, this message is dangerous and it is Dr. Mahathir approach. Dr. Mahathir demanded that all the top posts to be held by Malay, and even university places to be reserved to Malay. Turned out that all those graduated from university, nobody want to employ. This is the outcome. Unfortunately, it was supported by MP from Aljunied Hougang, Pritam Singh Road. He say coal is not rejection of a meritocracy, but reflects what Singaporean of all political hue recognize, that Singapore's pro-business and foreign talent-friendly policy must not come at the cost of capable and deserving Singaporean facing less cultural career and job opportunity in their own country. In fact, if there is a capable Singaporean that can hold the top job, OCBC Bank and DBS Bank definitely will employ Singaporean, because Singaporean is much cheaper than now employing the foreign talent as their CEO. But we have to see this picture. We employ the foreign talent as the CEO is to hope that to make the bank more profitable, more competitive, the bank expand, and more Singaporean has the job, directly or indirectly. Those people in the lower management or middle management in the banking industry already earn, their income is already a lot. And the key is we should not implement protectionism. Protectionism will not last. In fact, now Malay in the Malaysia is saying that we don't want special right, because special right create a lot of problem and make them uncompetitive at last. All Singaporeans are immigrants. We have to tell the truth to Singaporeans. All Singaporeans are immigrants. The difference is some comes few generations earlier and some just come. Singapore core is forever we accept immigrants who can contribute to Singapore economy or other field. Together we make a better Singapore regardless of race, religion. The government has been protecting Singaporean rice bowl with high foreign worker levy. Yes, we must protect Singaporean. This is every government would like to do to gain vote. Don't need people to remind them. They would like to do. But remember, the economic size of Singapore does not allow protectionism. It is lucky that many countries in the world are open for us to compete because of our good relationship with them. If they implement protectionism, we will die. We depend on free trade to compete to survive. Our over-protectionism will only kill at last. Malaysia car industry dominated Malaysia car market at very early stage because of 300% import tax protection. But today Proton has lost its market share because foreign car is cheaper now, even after 300% tax off car cost. It is because foreign cars has managed to lower their manufacturing costs a lot to remain competitive. Singapore brand is made through blood and sweat. Our key strength now is Singapore brand, which carry trust and can deliver, and it commands a premium. Singapore brand has been built up by blood and sweat over the last 48 years. We should look out for those irresponsible who would put the whole country at risk for his personal gain, like former Taiwan President Chen Shui-bian. We should feel honored that many foreigners and including the foreign rich are keen to stay in Singapore now. It is a recognition to our Singapore team. They invest and spend in Singapore. They have created jobs for us. With more rich staying in Singapore, the income gap in Singapore will be getting bigger. It is a good problem. We don't have to act holy. It is a fact that when rich people visit my home, I welcome them and I feel honored and happy. The best part is our young Singaporean married the children of the foreign rich. It is gain to our Singaporean team. Last year, two significant donations to NUS is from foreign rich. 25 million donation from Stephen Diadi and 30 million from Dr. Tahir. Instead of appreciating their effort, people like to say things like this. They are rich. If I if I ask them if I ask them have they ever donated $300 to charity before, I can tell you very high chance they have not. These are the evil that like to talk back instead of appreciating and be grateful. Singapore is an excellent place to live in for all class of people. Singapore today, not only professionals like to stay here, the cleaner and the rich also like to stay here. It means Singapore is a country that all class of people like and long to stay. It is a success. Some Singaporeans are jealous when it happens that those top students in the class are monopolized by foreigner or new immigrant. It is wrong. We should feel happy instead because we have brought in the right people to strengthen our Singapore team. My wife informed other parents in the school about the good website for children to learn. My son was very unhappy. I used to react like my son. It is normal because my son has not seen the big picture. I explained to my son, you could hide this info from your friends. Could you hide it from the world in this globalization? I strongly encourage my son to share his knowledge and to find ways to teach his friends so that they can understand in the shortest time. This is a win-win approach. My son will gain the skills in communication. The key is we build up strong Singapore team spirit since P1, and this is the foundation of ensuring Singapore forever competitive. Investor will keen to invest in Singapore is because Singapore team is excellent and not one person is excellent.